Henry and Wendy played the innocent victims for the camera. Wendy tearfully recounted her supposed pity for a motherless me, explaining her marriage to Henry. Henry added a dramatic tale of selfless care, twisting the truth of my childhood neglect, including the scalding incident he conveniently omitted his role in. I scoffed, the sound cutting through their lies. I remembered being left alone, the spilled noodles, the resulting scar. Roxanne thrust a mic in my face. "Miss Smith, anything to say?" I took a deep breath. It was my turn. What would I say to expose their lies? What would Pete and Justin do? Upstairs by the window, Cherry gasped, her small face etched with confusion and a dawning fear. Had Mommy really meant that? Did she not want her and Pete anymore? The thought sent a cold shiver down his spine. Miles away in the sterile quiet of the Hunt's mansion, Pete frowned at his phone, his brow furrowed in worry. That sharp, dismissive tone. It wasn't the warm, loving voice he knew. Was Mommy angry at them too? Downstairs, the air crackled with tension. Roxanne blinked, momentarily thrown by my blunt dismissal. The comment section of the live stream, I could only imagine, was in an uproar. Roxanne fought to regain her composure, her professional facade slipping slightly. "Miss Smith," she began, her tone carefully measured. "Some would say there's no greater kindness than the love and care that one receives from their parents when they're growing up. You also have children yourself. How would you feel in this situation? What if your child abandoned you?" I considered her question, the weight of my own complicated past pressing down on me. "Then," I answered, my voice flat, devoid of emotion, "they can do whatever they want." Roxanne stared at me, her mouth slightly agape, clearly struggling to reconcile my coldness with the image Henry and Wendy had painted. I felt a flicker of something akin to amusement. I hadn't bothered to wash my face properly, and my hair was probably a mess. Yet even in my disheveled state, I could see the flicker of surprise in Roxanne's eyes, a reluctant acknowledgement of a beauty that seemed to defy their narrative. I shrugged, my indifference genuine. "I'm not relying on them to provide for me in my old age." Roxanne frowned, her journalistic instincts kicking in. "It's not about the money, Miss Smith. It's about companionship, about family." I raised an eyebrow, my gaze unwavering. Then, I turned my attention to Henry and Wendy, my voice laced with a sardonic amusement. "Oh? So, what you're lacking is just companionship? You're not worried about the money at all?" Henry's denial was immediate and vehement. "Of course not. But you should be working and striving for success. Also, your stepmother and I are getting old, so we aren't in good health anymore. We're thinking of having health checkups done, but you and your sister have used up all the money." I laughed, a short, sharp sound that held no humor. "So, you are still demanding money," Henry snapped back, his veneer of wounded fatherhood cracking. "This isn't a demand for money. This is something you should have given me in the first place." Just then, the commotion by the entrance intensified. A moment later, a small group of uniformed police officers walked into the living room. The officer at the front, his posture ramrod straight, his gaze sharp and assessing, fixed his eyes on me. "Did someone make a police report?" he asked, his voice authoritative. "Yes, I did." Melissa stepped forward, her voice trembling with indignation. She pointed at Roxanne and Henry. "These people are trespassing on our private property. Please make them leave." The lead officer surveyed the scene, his gaze taking in the cameras, the reporter, Henry and Wendy's indignant expressions, and the tense faces of the Andersons. "All right, people," he said, his voice firm. "If this isn't your home, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. If you do not comply, we'll have to escalate the issue." Roxanne's brows furrowed. She hadn't anticipated such a swift and decisive response from the Andersons. She looked at Henry, a hint of concern in her eyes. "Perhaps we should come back some other time," she suggested, her voice losing some of its earlier bravado. But Henry, his eyes fixed on me, knew that any delay would give me time to prepare, to shut him out completely. He drew himself up, his voice booming with righteous indignation. "Sir, I'd like to make a police report too. My daughter is refusing to pay money that she owes us by law." The police arrived, a stark interruption to Henry's show. Melissa's move had changed the game, but his counter-accusation lingered like a threat. His owed money claim, was it a bluff? Would the police buy it? And what now? A public fight turned legal battle? How will I escape this mess? What will be the cost of his desperation? The flashing lights outside felt like a warning. What comes next?
Hi, Nora here. If you are wondering what happens next, then download the Pocket FM app and listen to the exciting episodes of Saving Nora Now with the link in the description.